My girlfriend posted, "Some people are just insecure, and it shows," right after I asked about her male friend who keeps buying her gifts. I changed my profile picture to me with someone else and captioned it, "Confidence looks good on me. She lost her mind too soon." I, 26M, thought I understood my girlfriend until last Tuesday when everything I believed about trust and respect got flipped upside down. We had been together for 8 months, and things seemed solid until her coworkers started becoming a regular topic of conversation. This guy from her marketing department had been buying her coffee every morning for 2 weeks straight. Then it escalated to lunch invitations and small gifts like her favorite chocolate bars. When I noticed the pattern and casually mentioned feeling uncomfortable about another man constantly buying her things, she brushed it off completely. She told me I was being paranoid and that workplace friendships were normal. But something felt off about how defensive she became whenever I brought up this particular coworker. The way she smiled when mentioning his name or how she suddenly started dressing up more for work days made my gut churn. That evening, she posted on social media with a caption that felt like a direct shot at me. The message about insecurity showing was posted just 3 hours after our conversation about her coworker. The timing felt deliberate, like she was publicly calling me out without mentioning my name. I stared at that post for 20 minutes, watching mutual friends like and comment with laughing emojis. Each notification felt like another person siding with her narrative that I was just some jealous, insecure boyfriend. The anger built slowly, then all at once. My phone buzzed with a text from my college friend who had moved back to town recently. She was asking if I wanted to grab dinner and catch up since we hadn't seen each other in years. The timing felt like the universe presenting me with an opportunity. I said yes to dinner, and we ended up having an amazing time reminiscing about old memories and laughing until my sides hurt. She looked incredible, and I realized how much I had missed having conversations with someone who actually listened and engaged. When she suggested we take a photo together, I agreed without thinking about the implications. The picture came out perfectly. We both looked genuinely happy, and there was an undeniable chemistry visible in how comfortable we appeared together. My friend posted it first, tagging me with a caption about rekindling old friendships and making new memories. Instead of sharing her post, I uploaded the same photo to my own profile with my caption about confidence looking good on me. I chose those specific words because they felt like the perfect counter to her earlier post about insecurity. If she wanted to play social media games, I could participate too. The response was immediate and explosive. Within 15 minutes, my phone started buzzing with notifications. My girlfriend had liked the post, then unliked it, then commented asking who the other person was, then deleted her comment. Her behavior was visible to anyone watching our profiles closely. She called me twice before I answered. Her voice was shaking when she demanded to know who I was with and why I would post such a thing. I calmly explained that I was catching up with an old friend and wondered why she seemed so bothered by a simple dinner photo. The irony was not lost on me. Here was the same person who had called me insecure just hours earlier, now demanding explanations about my friendships and accusing me of trying to make her jealous. I pointed out the hypocrisy as gently as possible, but she was too worked up to acknowledge it. She showed up at my apartment an hour later, still upset and wanting to discuss everything face to face. I had never seen her this rattled before, and part of me felt guilty for triggering such a strong reaction. But another part felt vindicated that my concerns about her coworker might have been valid after all. We sat on my couch, and she immediately started explaining how her coworker was just being friendly and that workplace dynamics were complicated. But when I asked if she would be comfortable with me accepting daily gifts from a female colleague, she hesitated before admitting she would probably feel weird about it. That hesitation told me everything I needed to know. She understood exactly why her situation with the coworker bothered me, but she had dismissed my feelings anyway. Now that the tables were turned, she was experiencing the same discomfort she had minimized in me. I asked her directly if she had romantic feelings for her coworker. She denied it immediately, but something in her expression made me press further. Eventually, she admitted that he had asked her out before she and I started dating, and that he had recently mentioned still being interested if things ever changed between us. The pieces started falling into place. Her coworker was not just being friendly. He was actively pursuing her while knowing she was in a relationship. And instead of shutting it down completely, she had been enjoying the attention and gifts while keeping me in the dark about his intentions. She tried to argue that she had never encouraged him or crossed any lines, but accepting daily gifts and lunch invitations from someone who wanted to date her felt like crossing lines to me. I asked how she would feel if I was regularly accepting gifts from someone who had openly expressed romantic interest in me. The conversation went in circles for over an hour. She kept insisting that I was overreacting and that her friendship with her coworker was innocent. But every time I brought up specific examples of behavior that would bother her if reversed, she struggled to defend her position consistently. Finally, I suggested that if her friendship with him was truly innocent, she should have no problem setting clear boundaries. That meant declining future gifts, avoiding one-on-one meals, and being transparent about our relationship status during their interactions. Her immediate resistance to these suggestions revealed more than any argument could. She claimed I was trying to control her friendships, and that she should not have to change her behavior to accommodate my insecurities. But moments later, she was still demanding that I delete my photo and cut contact with my college friend. The double standard was staggering. She wanted complete freedom to maintain a friendship with someone who was openly interested in her romantically, while simultaneously demanding that I avoid any interaction that might make her uncomfortable. The hypocrisy was so blatant that I started questioning everything about our relationship. Update 1. The next morning brought even more drama than I had anticipated. My girlfriend had apparently spent the entire night going through my social media history and analyzing every interaction I had ever had with my college friend. She had screenshots ready and a list of questions about our past relationship. She confronted me with evidence that my friend and I had dated briefly during sophomore year, something I had honestly forgotten to mention because it felt irrelevant to our current situation. We had broken up amicably and remained friends, but there had never been any romantic tension since then. But now my girlfriend was convinced that my dinner and photo were part of some elaborate plan to rekindle an old romance. She accused me of being intentionally deceptive and claimed that my entire reaction to her coworker situation had been projection because I was the one with inappropriate friendships. The accusations were so far-fetched that I almost laughed. Here was someone who had been accepting daily gifts from a man who openly wanted to date her, calling me deceptive for having dinner with someone I had briefly dated 6 years ago. The mental gymnastics required for that logic were impressive. I tried to explain the difference between our situations, but she was not interested in rational discussion. She had constructed a narrative where I was the villain, and she was going to stick to it regardless of facts or context. That afternoon, things escalated further when she posted a new status about fake friends and people who pretend to care about relationships while secretly planning to destroy them. The post was clearly about me, and several of our mutual friends commented with supportive messages for her. I realized that she was actively trying to control the narrative and paint me as the problematic partner. By posting vague accusations and emotional appeals, she was gathering sympathy and support while making me look like the bad guy who had hurt her somehow. My phone started buzzing with texts from friends asking what was happening between us. Some were genuinely concerned, while others seemed to have already chosen sides based on her social media posts. The situation was spiraling beyond what either of us had probably intended. I decided to take the high road and avoid posting anything else that could be interpreted as relationship drama. Instead, I reached out to a few close friends privately to explain my perspective and make sure they understood both sides of the story. Update 2. By Thursday, the situation had become completely surreal. My girlfriend had apparently called my college friend directly and accused her of trying to steal me away. My friend was confused and upset, having no idea that a simple dinner had caused such chaos in my relationship. She called me immediately after the confrontation, asking what was happening and whether she had inadvertently caused problems between us. I had to explain the entire situation, including how my girlfriend had been accepting gifts from a coworker who wanted to date her and how my photo with her had exposed some serious double standards. My friend was supportive but also concerned about being dragged into relationship drama. She offered to talk to my girlfriend and clarify that our dinner had been completely platonic, but I told her that would probably make things worse at this point. Meanwhile, my girlfriend had moved on to investigating my friend's social media profiles and looking for evidence of ongoing romantic interest. She found old photos of us from college and screenshots of friendly comments we had exchanged over the years, presenting them as proof of an ongoing emotional affair. The level of investigation and paranoia was becoming genuinely concerning. I started wondering if this behavior was normal for her during conflicts, or if I had somehow triggered an extreme response that revealed deeper issues with trust and control. Friday brought another twist when my girlfriend's coworker apparently heard about our relationship problems through office gossip. Instead of backing off and giving her space to work things out with me, he doubled down and asked her out again, this time suggesting that maybe she deserved someone who appreciated her properly. She told me about his renewed advances, expecting sympathy and support. But I could not help pointing out that this was exactly what I had been concerned about from the beginning. Her coworker had been waiting for any sign of trouble in our relationship to make his move, and now he was actively trying to take advantage of our conflict. Instead of recognizing how this validated my original concerns, she became defensive and accused me of being unsympathetic during a difficult time. She claimed that her coworker was just being a good friend and offering support, completely ignoring the obvious opportunistic timing of his romantic proposition. Update 3. The weekend arrived with both of us emotionally exhausted and no closer to resolution. My girlfriend had been staying at her sister's place since Wednesday, claiming she needed space to think about everything that had happened. On Saturday morning, she called and asked to meet for coffee to discuss our future. I agreed, hoping we could finally have a productive conversation without accusations and defensiveness from both sides. We met at a neutral location, and for the first time all week, she seemed calm and reflective rather than angry and confrontational. She started by acknowledging that the situation had gotten out of hand and that both of us had probably made mistakes in how we handled things. She admitted that accepting daily gifts from her coworker might have been inappropriate, especially once she knew about his romantic interest. She also acknowledged that posting about insecurity right after our conversation had been passive-aggressive and hurtful. But then she pivoted to demanding that I acknowledge my own mistakes, particularly what she called my deliberate attempt to make her jealous with my photo and caption. She wanted me to admit that my actions had been calculated to hurt her rather than genuine friendship. I thought carefully about her request. Had my photo been partially motivated by wanting to show her how it felt to worry about a partner's friendships? Probably. But did that make it equivalent to weeks of accepting gifts from someone who wanted to break us up? I did not think so. I told her honestly that my photo had probably been partly reactive to her post, but that having dinner with an old friend was fundamentally different from maintaining an ongoing situation with someone actively pursuing her romantically. The intent and context mattered. She listened but clearly disagreed with my assessment. To her, both situations involved spending time with someone we had romantic history with and posting about it in ways that could be interpreted as provocative. She saw them as equivalent violations of relationship boundaries. We talked for 2 hours without reaching any real agreement on who had been more wrong or what should happen next. Every time we seemed close to understanding each other's perspective, one of us would bring up a detail that reignited the argument. Finally, I asked her directly what she wanted from me moving forward. Did she want me to apologize and pretend that her behavior with her coworker had been completely appropriate? Was she willing to set the boundaries with him that I had suggested earlier? Her answer was revealing. She wanted me to apologize for my photo and promise not to see my college friend again, but she was not willing to commit to declining future gifts or social invitations from her coworker. She still maintained that his intentions were irrelevant as long as she was not interested in him romantically. That response crystallized everything for me. She wanted me to make sacrifices and accommodations for her comfort while refusing to make equivalent changes for mine. The relationship had become fundamentally unbalanced, with different rules applying to each of us. I realized that this conflict had revealed core incompatibilities in how we viewed relationships, boundaries, and respect. Even if we resolved this specific situation, we would likely face similar problems whenever our different approaches to opposite-sex friendships created tension. After much reflection, I told her that I thought we needed to seriously consider whether we were compatible long-term. The past week had shown me sides of both of us that were concerning, and I was not sure we could rebuild the trust and respect necessary for a healthy relationship. She was upset by my suggestion but did not argue against it. I think she had reached similar conclusions about our fundamental differences, even if she was not ready to admit it directly. We agreed to take a break for the following week to think independently about what we both wanted. No contact, no social media monitoring, Just honest reflection about whether this relationship was worth the effort required to fix it. As I drove home, I felt a mixture of sadness and relief. Sadness for the loss of what had been a good relationship in many ways, but relief that I had finally stood up for my boundaries and refused to accept unequal treatment. The whole experience taught me valuable lessons about recognizing red flags, communicating expectations clearly, and refusing to compromise my self-respect for the sake of avoiding conflict. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is acknowledge when two people are not right for each other, regardless of how much you care about them. Whether we ultimately decide to work things out or go our separate ways, I know I handled this situation with more maturity and self-awareness than I would have a year ago. That growth feels like a victory regardless of the relationship outcome.